You pressed a pedal this morning and moved faster than any human could move for 300,000 years. Your legs did nothing. Now stand on a beach in Indonesia 800,000 years ago. 12 miles of open water in front of you, no land showing on the far side. No boat has ever been built by anyone, anywhere. Somebody crossed it anyway. And nobody alive can tell you what they floated on. So how does a barefoot animal with no wheel, no map and no engine take an entire planet? A cheetah hits 70 miles an hour. A horse holds 30 for miles. You top out near 15, and only for a few seconds before your lungs quit. On paper, you are the worst athlete out here, but you can walk 20 miles today, sleep, and do it again tomorrow, and the day after that, for weeks. No other land animal on Earth can do that. Your arches work like springs. Your Achilles tendon, the thick cord above your heel, stores energy and throws it back at every step. There is a band at the back of your neck built only to hold your head steady while you run. Dennis Bramble and Daniel Lieberman laid all of it out in 2004. They went through your body piece by piece and kept finding parts that only make sense if you were built to go far. You carry about 2 million sweat glands, and they are under your shirt right now. A horse on that same hot day has to stop and cool off. You do not. You were never built for speed. You were built to never stop. 1978, Laetoli, Tanzania. Fossil hunter Mary Leakey brushes ash off a line of tracks. Two of them walked side by side through wet volcano ash 3.6 million years ago. The ash dried hard and kept the prints. Same heel strike, same arch, same push off the big toe as the print you leave in wet sand. Your foot has barely changed since. The hardware was finished long before we were. Around 70,000 years ago, small groups started walking out of Africa. Not one big march, a few more miles each time a new set of children grew up. The Middle East, then Asia, then Europe, then Siberia, then a frozen bridge into Alaska, then south to the tip of the Americas, 15,000 miles on foot toward places nobody knew were there. And they were not wandering. Dig teams keep pulling black volcano glass out of camps hundreds of miles from the nearest volcano. Seashells turn up deep inland. Amber crosses whole mountain ranges. Somebody told them what was out there, and they went and got it. This was networking, done barefoot. Walking works right up until water gets in the way. A river ends your trip cold. You find a shallow spot, or you turn around. Michael Morwood and his team dated stone tools on the island of Flores to about 800,000 years old. Flores has never touched the mainland. Even when the ice ages pulled the sea down to its lowest, 12 miles of open water stayed. Wood rots, bamboo rots, reeds rot. Whatever they floated on is gone. The tools are still sitting there. Somebody crossed, and we cannot see the boat. 65,000 years ago, people crossed from Southeast Asia to Australia. 60 miles of open sea at the very least. You cannot see Australia from the other shore, not on the clearest day there has ever been. They loaded up, pointed at empty water, and paddled. You would not step off a dock like that today with a phone in your pocket and a rescue boat on call. They left solid ground on a guess. 3,000 years ago, the Polynesians took on the Pacific. Double-hulled canoes, families on board, pigs, plants, water. No compass, no map, no coast to follow. They steered by stars, by the shape of the swells rolling under the hull, by the flight lines of birds at dusk, by the colour of the clouds that sit over hidden land. They reached Hawaii, they reached Easter Island, they reached New Zealand. Some of those runs were 2,500 miles with nothing in between. They found needles in an ocean. Andrew Sharp said it was luck, and his case is not a weak one. Storms shove canoes past the point of no return. Currents carry them for weeks. A fishing trip goes wrong and lands on a beach nobody planned to see. Run that for 1,000 years, and some of those boats hit land. It only takes one canoe with a woman on board to start an island. Luck settles islands too. Ben Finney answered him in 1976. He built a double-hulled canoe called Hokulea. He handed it to Mau Piailug, a man from the island of Satawal who could steer by stars alone. Mao carried no compass and no chart. He read the sky, and he read the swells under the hull. They sailed from Hawaii to Tahiti, about 2,400 miles, and they hit it. Drift does not steer. Walking took the land, boats took the water. Weight took both of them back. You can walk 20 miles. You cannot walk 20 miles under a 200-pound animal you just killed. Load a person past about 60 pounds and their body starts breaking down. So people cheated. They threw the kill on a hide and dragged it. Then somebody tied 2 long poles into a V shape with a platform slung between them. It is called a travois. Narrow end on your shoulders, wide end skidding behind you, weight spread across the whole frame. One person could suddenly move 100 pounds. 2 sticks beat 300,000 years of carrying. About 15,000 years ago, people tamed dogs. One of the first jobs we handed them was pulling. 6 dogs on a sled can move an entire family camp across Arctic ice. The dog had a job thousands of years before the wheel existed. About 5,500 years ago, out on the grass steppes of Kazakhstan, the Botai people put a bit in a horse's mouth. A bit is the bar that sits behind the teeth and lets you steer. Alan Outram and his team found horse milk fat baked into Botai pots in 2009. They were not just hunting horses, they were keeping them. For 300,000 years, 4 miles an hour was the ceiling on a human life. On a horse, you hit 30. Inside one lifetime, the world people lived in got 8 times smaller. An army could arrive before the news did. Every ocean on this planet was crossed before anyone made a wheel. The oldest wheel we have came out of a marsh in Slovenia, about 5,200 years old. People reached Australia 60,000 years before that wheel ever turned. And the wheel did not even start out as travel. The first ones were flat discs spun by hand to shape wet clay into pots. Someone tipped one on its side and set a load on top of it. We crossed the Pacific before we could roll a cart. Early carts were miserable, solid wood wheels, heavy as a body, cracking on stone and sinking into mud. A horse pulling a cart was slower than a horse with nothing behind it. The wheel started out losing. Around 2000 BC, somebody cut it down to a rim, a hub, and thin spokes. Light, strong, fast. Chariots. Then paved streets show up in the city of Ur. Wheel, horse, and road, all 3 in the same hands. That is when empires became possible. Nobody has closed the first half of this case. We can date the tools on Flores down to the layer they sat in. We cannot name the boat. We can date the wheel to the marsh it was buried in. We cannot say why it took so long. We have the landing. We never get the ride. You will press that pedal again tomorrow and move faster than any human could for 300,000 years. The road under your tires bends around the same mountain a barefoot group walked around. Ports still sit in the same easy bays somebody paddled into first. We solved distance so well we forgot it was ever a problem. You get annoyed when the car is 5 minutes out. And your feet, the same arches, the same cord above the heel, the same 2 million sweat glands, are the pair that took the planet. If you like my videos, hit like and subscribe. See you on the next one.